Hello and welcome to the video overview of Operation Innerflame. In this program, we'll take a look at the military support which contributed to the safety and success of the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. This was no small task.
When we first received our mission for Olympic support, the tasks were to be low-key and behind the scenes. However, the world situation changed dramatically. Our mission soon grew to one of providing visible law enforcement support at each Olympic venue. This required National Guard forces from 25 states and the support of a joint task force of active duty and reserve component troops.
Just over a year before the Olympics, Brigadier General J.D. Johnson received the execute order from Joint Forces Command. At that time, he could not fully imagine the challenges that lay ahead.
Certainly the first part of the mission was obviously to write the order and plan. And we were marching down a pretty steady path of about a 1,500 person force. And then the terrorist attack of September 11th happened, and it changed our world.
Shortly after 9/11, key players in Olympic security held an emergency meeting to discuss modifications to the existing plan. With the increased threat of terrorism, it was clear that changes were needed.
They could see immediately that if we were going to have the security needed for a safe and secure Olympics, we needed to up the manpower.
2 months later, 3,300 additional National Guard soldiers were approved to augment the already 1,500 active reserve and National Guard forces under Joint Task Force Olympics, or JTFO. Most of these additional troops would have a much more visible role than previously planned.
This mission was particularly challenging because of the Posse Comitatus statute. Posse Comitatus is a federal statute which prohibits the use of active duty troops from assisting local law enforcement authorities. The statute normally does not apply to National Guard troops, particularly when in state status. Hence, this statute really drove the train in terms of the division of labor between the National Guard troops and the active duty forces that were here in Utah to assist in the security efforts for the Olympics.
Before we look at the Joint Task Force in detail, we'll examine the primary missions of the additional National Guard troops as they assist law enforcement personnel at the Olympic venues. One mission was Vehicle Screening Areas, or VSAs. Under the supervision of law enforcement personnel, Guard members search vehicles before being driven into Olympic venues. Looking for possible hidden explosives was a task that required patience and attention to detail.
I'm impressed with the quality of the people that are doing the inspections and their diligence in what they're doing. This has been a long, drawn-out event. It's a day in and day out drudgery, and I haven't seen anybody slacking at their jobs. They're very diligent.
If we don't do the job, then who's going to? If we mess up, then somebody could die. That's our job.
At other locations, troops screen spectators with magnometers before they are allowed inside Olympic venues. When one man tried to enter with a concealed handgun, Specialist Megan Chambers was ready.
My training definitely did take care of me. All three of my wanders that were standing behind me, they saw me jump, they saw me react, and they were all ready to react just the same way. So it was good. It was really good. The teamwork worked very well.
Despite long lines and occasional inconvenience, Olympic spectators appreciate what the troops are doing.
The morale has gone up, especially when you get the crowds cheering, the little kids tagging along. It's a nice feeling.
That's what really makes it worth coming down here, is people cheering for us, happy that we're here.
At the Olympic Stadium, along with athlete housing areas, soldiers patrol the perimeters. In Midway, Utah, athletes participating in skiing events could feel safe at their lodging. Working round the clock in sometimes sub-zero conditions, these Guard members rose to the challenge.
We've been very successful. We haven't had any incidents. When we hit the ground, we didn't have enough persons to do rotating shifts. Some of the guys didn't get a day off for about 20 days into the rotation. The security is manned by 3 different shifts, 12 persons a shift, and it's been really successful.
During this time, another 1,000 Utah National Guard troops in annual training status are on standby in case they're needed. This is above and beyond the 5,000 plus soldiers more directly involved in the Olympics. Normally, these other soldiers would be firing artillery rounds or working in military intelligence. But today they're doing MACDIS training, which is military assistance for civil disturbance. Shortly before the opening ceremonies, Sergeant Jason Myers wondered if they'd be needed.
Comatose on me!
I think it was a sense of anticipation, wondering if they were going to call on us or not, if we were ready. We were kind of put on standby for the opening, wasn't sure if we were going to be used or not, and unfortunately for everybody we weren't. But the morale was pretty good, and they were ready to do their mission.
At the Emergency Operations Center in Draper, Utah, it was a challenge keeping up with the missions that continually funneled in.
This is a military mission with peacetime rules. I think it struggled at first, and that was kind of a learning curve for not only the 06 commanders at the venues, but also the 05 commanders at the task force, because this is a different mission than a military mission.
I think the lessons learned were just that, how to work in a homeland defense environment. There are no field manuals, there are no Army regulations that talk about that. There are missions other than war that we've dealt with, but nothing to this magnitude ever.
Several other state missions were also tasked to National Guard aviators.
We were tasked to lift 4 generators that are going to be supplying power to the Olympic rings that are going to be lighted up on the side of the mountain over here during the Olympic Games.
Now we'll look at the organization and the role of the Joint Task Force. JTFO was organized into 5 task forces: logistics, aviation, explosive ordnance disposal, or EOD, force protection, and public affairs. Cadet Teresa Morris explains the role of task force logistics during the operation.
Logistics is defined as the acquisition, maintenance, and distribution of personnel and material.
Logistics is what keeps the war fighters in the fight. Without logistics, everything would stop.
For the members of the military supporting Joint Task Force Olympics, logistics begins with in-processing. If the Army is run on paperwork, add sailors, airmen, and Marines from the reserves, National Guard, and active component to the mix, and the job for the task force's 307 soldiers is overwhelming.
The enhanced security came on and added another additional 3,000 to 4,000 soldiers, but this task force was not increased to handle that many more soldiers. So my soldiers have had to work many long hours in preparation to receive the soldiers to come in and provide the enhanced security for the Olympics, but they've done a fantastic job.
The task force in-processed the majority of the service members in a 3-day period. Once everyone has in-processed, they are then taken to one of the 8 life support areas, or LSAs, located throughout Utah. Each LSA must provide the basic necessities of life for the troops.
We provide all the life support systems to include housing, food, medical, MWR, and transportation.
Every LSA provides the equipment and personnel for the distribution of mail, laundry services, a PX, and even haircuts. As an arm of logistics, MWR provides opportunities for service members to relax.
We provide an MWR route which goes off post for the soldiers that runs every hour and a half approximately. It leaves here, goes to the mall, the bowling lanes, the movie theater, and to the track station so they can get downtown and see all the venues downtown, Salt Lake venues. And then we have the on-post stuff like the NCO club, the officers club, the game room, and a couple day rooms.
According to Colonel White, if this is a sign of what we have in all our other units, the United States is in good hands. Reporting from Draper, Utah, I'm Army Cadet Teresa Morris, Joint Task Force Olympics.
During the mission, troops consumed over 675,000 meals and drove over 1 million miles in GSA vehicles and buses. Aviators and radar site personnel also logged some significant miles. Specialist Guy Zeziger has the story.
Upon receiving the winning bid for the 2002 Winter Olympics, the Utah legislature created an organization called the Utah Olympic Public Safety Command. A large part of the safety and security mission will rely heavily on military aviation support.
Yeah, basically, the Utah Olympic Public Safety Command requested 4 missions for aviation. The first one was a transport helicopter mission, basically transporting law enforcement and emergency medical service personnel from one location to another. The second role was command and control, and that's basically providing an aerial platform for venue commanders or law enforcement commanders to get a grasp of what's going on the ground. The third role was medevac, and they wanted somebody who can augment and supplement the existing medevac helicopters that are here, the civilian ones. And then the fourth and final role was cargo. Basically anything that exceeds the capability of a Black Hawk to transport law enforcement people into an area, we can use the CH-47, the Chinook helicopters.
In order for Task Force Aviation to successfully complete its mission, the hard work of many on the ground is necessary. Keeping the aircraft ready for flight is critical. Aviation mechanics work diligently behind the scenes to keep these aircraft mission capable.
Basically, we're doing maintenance on this aircraft, making sure that the rotor blades track properly so that when the pilot has control of the aircraft, that everything is going to operate properly for him. So when he makes a right-hand turn and he turns the control to the right, it's going to go right.
Far from the airfields, there are members of Task Force Aviation high atop the mountains in Utah, keeping a close eye on the airspace surrounding the Olympic Games. Part of this unique task force is a collection of Army and Marine Corps radar technicians.
We're here to make sure that no one flies into any controlled zones. We're here as an added incentive or asset to the radars that are already in place in different areas where they have a hard time picking up. We can pick up a lot air tracks a lot easier.
The radar systems worked without any problem.
It's going really well. I've heard that there's been a couple instances where there's been something flying that wasn't supposed to be there, and the FAA's picked it up and sent out the Blackhawks in the background to escort it down. This is a real-world mission, finally. We're not tracking remote control aircraft or simulated tracks. What we're tracking is really up there, and it can really be a serious situation. And we're just glad to be out here and helping out.
Task Force Aviation has been an integral component to the overall safety and security of the 2002 Winter Games. Reporting for Task Force Public Affairs, I am Specialist Guy Zeziger.
Task Force EOD is a lot more than just searching for explosives and ordnance disposal. Staff Sergeant Venkatate explains.
Task Force Explosive Ordnance Disposal, or EOD's main mission, is to support the Utah Olympic Public Safety Command. They provide their support to law enforcement agencies, making sure each Olympic venue is safe and secure. The mission has 2 phases. The first part is sweeping each Olympic venue, looking for hazardous devices that might have been in place before their arrival. After each venue is secure, the mission transitions to the second phase, assessment.
And the EOD teams are on site, and then if something is identified that is unknown or for some reason causes a shadow of doubt or suspicion in somebody that is helping secure the venue, then we would we would look at whatever is unknown or suspicious, and we'd say, yes, this is of concern, or no, this is not anything we need to be worried about.
While some personnel are securing the Olympic venues, some are at the Bomb Management Center, or BMC. There they dispatch bomb teams to any incidents in and around the Olympic Theater. The BMC is divided into 4 cells: Admin and Command, Logistics, Operations, and Intelligence. Each cell has local and federal law enforcement and military personnel to handle any situation that may arise. Major Rita Casey tells us what it's like to work with many different agencies.
At all times, we have not had one even minor conflict at all. And that's unusual when you get that many different agencies together. normally there's always one agency that wants to be in charge, and this has been like, let's all work together and get our job done and be safe.
I think the missions went very well. Where we're at here in the Bomb Management Center, if things are slow and quiet, that's a good thing. It means that things are going well on the outside. So hopefully we'll remain very slow here.
A big help in making sure the troops are protected is the gear they use. At the Olympics, EOD personnel began using the most technologically advanced bomb suit. In this dangerous job, having the best equipment along with the proper skills is vital.
It's as serious as it gets. Your life depends on what you do and how you do it. If you fail in that mission, then obviously critical consequences are on the line.
The military working dog is another tool used to help find explosive devices. With a keen sense of smell, these dogs are a natural for the job. Standing side by side, Kazan and his dog handler, Air Force Staff Sergeant Brian Little, have been assigned to support Joint Task Force Olympics.
Here we're at the East Center, and our jobs are to search media equipment prior to the game starting, and then we do sweeps of the venue inside and out before and after the games, and just anywhere they call us to.
Another dog handler, Marine Corporal Jesse Cristando, says it's important to have confidence in his dog Dino.
It has to be complete trust. If I don't trust him, then there's no reason for me to have him around. So it's trust between me and him. He trusts that I'm not gonna let him get hurt or anything like that, and I trust that he's gonna be there to protect me or to do his job when it comes time to do it.
To keep these dogs fit and ready for work, Army veterinarians are on hand.
Everything okay with the dog? He's eating okay?
They're responsible for the health and wellness of all military working dogs.
We see some sick calls that come in, just some minor cuts and scratches on the pads maybe, or stress. Dogs are just like people, and they're kind of stressed out from having to travel and work, so they get, an upset stomach, or they get diarrhea and things like that. So we take care of that too.
Taking care of the EOD dogs is a worthwhile experience.
The best part of this job is working with the people that I get to hang out with and do things for. It's very rewarding just to be in the military itself and do this specialized job of taking care of the animals and, the soldiers.
One of the jobs that plays an important role in taking care of the soldiers is the food inspector. And just how does the food inspectors fall under Task Force EOD?
How the food service inspection came under EOD, it's run by the veterinarians. The veterinarians have the food inspectors. They fall under EOD because of the canine units they take care of. And it just so happens that they requested the preventive medicine support, so we fall in with the veterinarians as part of Task Force EOD.
Checking freezers for storage techniques, taking pictures of any discrepancies, and giving on-the-spot corrections.
Yeah, and it's a little off. You're about 50 parts per million. Need to be at about 100 parts per million for
keeps the up to 5,000 troops that go to the dining facilities healthy and mission capable.
Of course, I feel it's a very, very important job. It's not a glamorous job. It's not out there on the headlines, but we're behind the scenes and doing things that are very important.
The members of Joint Task Force Explosive Ordnance Disposal have put in long hours making sure the Olympics is safe for the world to enjoy. Reporting on Task Force EOD, I'm Army Staff Sergeant Venka Tate, Joint Task Force Olympics.
With over 5,000 troops in the area of operation, their living quarters and work areas all became potential terrorist targets. Sergeant First Class Roger Jensen explains the role of Task Force Force Protection.
Who was watching over those who were watching over the games? MP companies from as far away as Rhode Island and Alabama.
Need to see 2 forms of ID?
Due to world events and the threat of terrorism, the emphasis on security changed from important to unbelievably crucial. The size of the security force grew significantly.
6063, it's good copy.
These security forces stood guard at military housing, work sites, even on snow-capped mountains.
We are protecting those who are protecting the citizens and as well as the athletes. As long as we can give 110% and keep everybody safe and make sure everything goes off without a hitch. I think we've done it extremely well considering the circumstances.
Huck 1-0, tower's all clear.
A new and vibrant spirit of patriotism has been renewed in America. This special feeling is expressed by military policemen from many places.
I feel they view us a lot more positive because of the fact they know we're here to protect them, and I feel like they feel they're more protected of us being around.
According to Colonel John Perrone, the mission was enormous.
We had some special challenges here in the Olympics because many of our force protection requirements were out in the civilian communities, and as such we had to coordinate all our force protection efforts with both the local emergency workers, fire, police, and emergency personnel.
Major Morgan Polk, Joint Task Force Olympics Intelligence Officer, commented that in his experience, intelligence gathering for this mission has been unequaled.
I'd have to say overall that in my 21 years of Marine Corps intelligence, I've never seen quite the cooperation between the different agencies and the thoroughness of effort to find out what the threats were to the Olympics.
Motivation, cooperation, and patriotism were among reasons why force protection succeeded. For Force Protection, I'm Sergeant First Class Roger Jensen.
One of the challenges with bringing a military force of this magnitude together was keeping them informed. That was the primary mission of Task Force Public Affairs. Private First Class Allison George has more.
Task Force Public Affairs tells the story of Joint Task Force Olympics. Whether it's command information, public information, or media relations, our public affairs team of broadcasters, photojournalists, and historians tells the story in words and pictures. As part of JTFO's mission to support the Winter Olympic and Paralympic Games, Task Force Public Affairs includes members of mobile public affairs detachments, a press camp headquarters, and military history specialists from 10 states. Commander of Task Force Public Affairs, Major Patricia Vinson, recognizes the challenge of bringing so many service members together.
We've had a lot of diversity as far as what their experience levels have been, but they've all worked together as a team to get out a product, and it has been an excellent product.
Members of Task Force Public Affairs go where the action is. Showing military members performing their missions gives readers and viewers a sense of what it's really like to serve our nation and the world as part of the Olympics.
Each different troop has a different story to tell, and we've been able to go out there and tell numerous stories and document a lot of what their experiences are.
Keeping service members informed is another important public affairs task. Print journalists produce a weekly newspaper called the Olympian Express.
Throughout the military mission, the print section produced 8 weekly editions of the Olympian Express. We printed, collated, and stapled more than 35,000 sheets of paper.
Broadcasters also tell the military story in a unique way. Our video journalists take the interviews, action footage, and audio to create products such as the one you're viewing.
Well, on the broadcast side, it takes a lot to produce a story. We could be out all day getting footage for a minute to minute and a half story. We need to make sure that we put all that stuff together to make a professional broadcast product. During the JTFO mission, we produce news stories for Soldiers Radio and Television, command information videos, and we've even captured video for historical purposes and external release.
Hometown news releases are another way to give the folks back home the chance to see and hear what individual military members are doing to support the Olympics.
With this program, we've been real successful. From New York to California, we've had about 8 million people actually see our stories that we've done on the military individuals who are out here at the Olympics, keeping the Olympics safe.
Once the mission is accomplished and most military members have gone home, military historians then take center stage to organize information and analyze what has just taken place.
It's a good possibility that people will be able to come back and glean information rather than reinvent the wheel. They'll be able to start from a point and learn lessons that people that have worked through this operation have learned and not have to learn them all themselves.
Like the pieces of a large puzzle, military journalists take the sights and sounds of military members supporting the Olympics to create products that convey command information, tell the military story, and take readers and viewers to places they may never go themselves. Reporting for Task Force Public Affairs, I'm Private First Class Allison George.
With thousands of reporters at the Olympics, military personnel were often in the limelight.
As the public affairs officer for the Utah National Guard, this has really been an incredible experience. The media interest in our military presence has been extremely high, and in fact, our soldiers and airmen now have conducted more than 700 interviews with the media. And we're very proud of the message that they're sending to the world. It's been very positive and very professional.
Other JTFO staff members also worked tirelessly to help the mission succeed.
Never once was there a doubt in my mind or the minds of any of the leadership here that the people that came to this location to do this mission were fully prepared mentally, professionally, and physically to achieve this mission.
This was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I think we did a good job, and my hat's off to all of Utah for the great job they put on for the world.
Looking at the big picture, Major General Brian Tarbett was satisfied with the end result of all those who made the dual mission a success.
I'm most pleased that the Olympics will not remember the military as the story. We were part of it, but a small part, so the focus was on the athletes, the games, the visitors, where it should have been.
Operation Innerflame was the first real test of the Homeland Defense concept since 9/11, with representatives from every branch of military service. Over 60 local, state, and federal agencies worked together to ensure that the Olympics were safe. And in spite of sometimes extreme weather conditions, there were no cold weather injuries and no serious accidents. In the words of General Johnson, it was a true success story of the total force.
It was not an uncomplicated mission. It was a gold medal performance. So there were transportation issues, there were personnel issues, logistics issues, and they were all handled extraordinarily well.
Huck 1-0, towers all clear.